Yes, hello everyone. It's Bill Murphy here. I wanted to show you how to use the text tools on whiteboard for those who are in breakout rooms in their classes and need to use the text tool to express opinions from within the breakout room itself. A little bit of a tip as to how to do that. Firstly, you'll find when you log in that you'll have this toolbar. If you hold your left mouse button down and click on the top there, you find you can move it around, so you could move it up or down to suit the location. The text area that we like to use is this one here. Now, see this little button right at the bottom right? That actually, if we click on that, it gives us two options. One is to create a text label on the page, and the other one is to enter text on the page. The enter text one is the one that works best. So if I click on that, you'll know you're in that one because, as you can see on the screen there, it shows you that little A with some lines underneath it. So we're ready to go. What we do now is hold down the left mouse button, and we need to drag and down and to the right to create a text box. Now, once I've taken my finger off the left mouse button, I get some options here in terms of the font and the color. So it defaults to 14-point font. That's not bad, but for the purpose of this exercise, why don't we bump that up to, say, 18? We do have some choice of fonts, not a great deal of choice, but frankly, I think the serif one is okay. For the purpose of the exercise, we might actually change the color of the text to red. Now, in terms of having the color, normally, obviously, black would be a pretty good color to use. But if you've got multiple people writing on the whiteboard at once, then you may each want to choose a different color. Now, frankly, in terms of how we use the whiteboard, our recommendation would normally be, if you're in a breakout room, that you appoint one person to be the scribe. So everyone can be talking about it, but you say to one individual person, you take the mouse and you're the one who will type. That just makes it a little bit more orderly, because otherwise, if everybody's typing, you can end up with the same thing duplicated. You can end up with people typing over the top of one another and so on. So for the moment anyway, we've created a little text box. So let's start typing into that text box. So as you can see, the text works okay. Having done that, we can, if we want to, make lists. So when you hit return here, you can then say make one, which can be this, two can be that, three can be the other thing. You can also have, if you wanted to, now that you've created something, if you wanted to then go back and put your mouse in there at the head of that list, for example, click on the bold button, hit the caps lock and say, and this is the list, and then there's a list of things like that. So you have a little bit of flexibility in terms of font size, color, and obviously font attributes and so on. And obviously, you know, things like italics and so on. Now, the good thing about this is that often when you're in a breakout room like this and things are sort of coming up and you're thinking about things on the run, you may want to add or subtract from this text box, or you may want to move this text box. So moving the text box is just a case of, notice if I run my mouse anywhere on the edge of this box, it converts it to a four-headed arrow. Once you see that four-headed arrow, if you hold down the left mouse key, I can now move this box around. So let's say, I think, yeah, that's a good point, but that probably needs to come second. Let's create another of these text boxes, and let's put this text box above the other one. And obviously I've left the caps lock on, which obviously is normally like shouting, so we normally wouldn't do that. But let's for the purpose of the exercise, let's bold that. Let's call that the heading. It's in black. Take the caps lock off, take the bold off, and then we can have further information here. Now you see I've accepted the default there at 14. This one was 18, so again, if that's up to you. When you look at this size on the screen here, as you're looking at this recording, you might think, well, maybe that looks a little bit small, but when it's actually on your screen, it actually doesn't look too bad. Now, the other thing is, so we might want to say, let's move that one down a little bit to put it above this one. The other thing is, once you've created the box, you can also then size it. So if I take my mouse to this bottom right-hand corner, once that arrow points in that sort of diagonal double-headed arrow, I can then, by holding down my left mouse key and pushing up, I can then recreate the box size. And then I could pick that box up and move it down there, and just in case we want to align things better. It could be that, for example, that we want to create a right-hand text box, and what I mean by that is that we might want to pick that one up, and we might want it to be on this side of the screen. So you can have things. Basically, the beauty of it is, as you type them, they're not fixed. You can change them. And say, for example, if you then want to get in Edit in here, now I've just clicked into this box, and then I've double-clicked where the cursor was last found, so usually at the end of the last thing. And then if I just type in 4, as you can see, I can now add to what's been typed in there, add a fourth thing in there as well. So lots of options there. Now the only other thing that I want to mention is the importing of text. Sometimes it can work really well and sometimes it can't. So if you've got something that you may have typed up in a Word document, you can actually put that in there. So if, for example, we create ourselves a text box, and I went to a Word document, I can cut and paste and put something in. So if I just had something like, let me just choose an example here of something, and I'll copy that and bring that in there, and then click Control V and paste it. And as you can see, it's actually quite small in there because it picks up the equivalent font out of Microsoft Word. So you'd probably want to highlight that and bump up that size so that you can see it. So that's not too bad. You can do that, and then of course you can obviously resize the text box to suit yourself, and then if you wanted to move it around there. Just a hint, when you're bringing in text that's been formatted in Microsoft Word has its own way of determining formatting, and it doesn't necessarily translate well in here. So, for example, if I wanted to, let's say hypothetically, then add this text, and I'll just pop it up the top. Maybe I'll pop it down the bottom here. So, if, for example, I wanted to put that text in there, and now I've actually done a screenshot, cut and paste out of a Word document. That's one way of doing it. That's a very good way of doing it. If you actually cut and paste the text, in other words, as a cut and paste exercise, and I'll just show you what that looks like when we do that. If I use that example in here, and then I paste it into this box, as you can see, it doesn't look quite the same. It's got smaller, all the spacing's weird, it's kind of not nice looking. The other thing that it has done, and I might just move some of this stuff up here and out of the road so I can show you how that works as well. I'll move some of these stuff. As you can see, you can move each of these components individually and just push them out of the road, because I just want to move this one up a bit to show you this. You'll see there's a scroll bar down the right-hand side here, and that's because this text actually doesn't fit the size of the box that I created for it. So two choices. You can either scroll, obviously, or you might want to then left mouse on that bottom right corner, get that diagonal arrow and just drag it down until the scroll bar goes away. As you can see, if you compare what's up here, So if you compare that text there, and it looks fairly neat straight, so it's basically copied as a picture out of Word. It's a screenshot out of a Word document, whereas this is a cut and paste out of the Word document. Yeah, this looks pretty ugly. So again, if you can use that method, that's a good method to use. Otherwise, if you use that method, be prepared for it to look a bit messy if there's formatting. If it's just a clear, easy page of text, like this one, you know, with no formats, bullet points, etc., that comes across not too badly. So that's probably the exercise for today. We've talked about creating the text box, moving a text box, relocating them, changing the fonts and so on, cutting and pasting from an image, cutting and pasting from out of the Word document. Hopefully that will help. If you have any other questions at all, anything else that you need to know, you can always contact me. My email address, typing into the bottom here. Oops, didn't spell that correctly. Let me try that again. Can't spell my own name. At cbfca.com.au. Ignore the first one. So bmurphy@cbfca.com.au. Drop me an email and let me know if you're having any issues. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.